down on my phone here.
Yo, what's going on, fam?
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Tuesday stream with my CannaCast. I'm Canna Dave.
And I'm Groovy.
We have a couple special guests today. I got one of them sitting right next to me. We got Canna Blessed Farms over here. And also, we are bringing in special guest,
Clone Coach. And we are live on IG. It's a little different. What's up, Clone Coach? Welcome to the team. Or welcome to the stream. Man, I am messing up my words like crazy today.
Yes, thank you for joining us. If you're not familiar, Clone Coach joined us, I believe, last year where we dove into clones. And then today, since we had great feedback and everyone had so many questions, we decided to run a live Q&A with Clone Coach all about cloning, do's, don'ts, and everything you need to know from home grow probably to licensed facilities. He can help you out. So thanks for joining us, Clone Coach.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
No, it's my pleasure, man. I'm glad to be back. You know, I think you guys got a great thing going on here, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Yeah, and honestly, we haven't seen you since Vegas, so it's really good to see your face again, man. Like, it's awesome. So hell yeah.
Still cheesing, still a big old headed guy, you know.
Yeah, man. Everybody in the comments, Clone Coach, Clone Coach. I'm sure they should be saying the same thing today. Clone Coach, Clone Coach. Mr. Popular over here making us feel cool.
It's a catchy name, you know.
Yeah, I know.
It's a catchy
really
name.
Cool. No, we appreciate you. So yeah.
It is. Let's jump into some cloning questions. So before we get started, though, actually on that, I want to talk about your guides that you have because right here, this is how he heard about you was your guides.
Yeah.
And I think that's very cool to see because when he's like, Clone Coach coming, he's like, I got to sit in on this. I got to sit in on this. And it's like, hey, man, here you are live. So, like, can you give us a little, what are your guides? Like, what are these cloning guides? And then we'll get into some of the questions we got.
Yeah, the SOPs I offer on clonecoach.com are basically the way to join the team, you know. So like, you Pete, welcome to the team. You know, that brings you into the community of people that are really putting their best foot forward to try to make the best clones ever. So these SOPs are what I was able to package up after years of trial and helping friends remotely. This is the way I was able to package up the information so that it could, go to anybody remote.
Sorry, we had to resend you the IG, the request. The phone fell asleep, so I don't know if we lost you on IG or not. So, but either way, yeah. So with your SOPs, okay. But Pete definitely said, Pete talks about your SOPs and how much they helped.
Yeah, what I really like about them is the simplicity. Like it's not hard to follow. You know what I mean? It's pretty cut and dry. It's a gift, man. Makes things easy for sure.
Yeah, and you're not the only grower that say that. So like your SOPs are huge online. Here, I'm gonna pull up your website as you talk to it. Go ahead. I'm gonna pull up your website.
Yeah, I mean that was intentional with keeping things real simple, because in my end of it, I wanted to ensure that what I was trying to get across came across, right, and that these steps were easy to implement. And that they're scalable as well. That's why you alluded to whether you're doing one mother light and one tray at a time, or 10x that or whatever. You got a commercial facility going. These things scale up because I started in a spare bedroom. Actually, the spare bedroom that I'm recording in right now was my first nursery, and I went to managing big commercial nurseries as well. You gotta stay close to the roots, right?
You gotta start where you you gotta start where you start, right?
That's true.
Exactly.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. So you said you started in that room next, right behind you, right there, huh?
Yeah.
How long you been growing for?
Since about 2010.
How about you, Clone Coach?
About 2015.
2015.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Y'all got some
That's
experience
when I left
here.
the corporate job.
Yeah.
Left the corporate job and focused on growing.
What made you go into cloning? Like, what made you think cloning was like the it? Like what made you become the clone coach? Go from a grower into the clone coach, I guess, is like the best would be a good question to get started here.
Yeah, I mean, so when I set up this room, you know, scouring YouTube and forums and everything, got the lights set up, you know, got the trays, the tables, the cocoa, the medium, everything. It was time to bring in plants. And that's where I kind of got stuck. Finding quality clones from a reliable source on a consistent basis to run crops, I got stuck, man. I had to, you know, it wasn't an easy task, right? And that kind of triggered inspiration from the get-go. So instead of turning this room, you know, into a flower room, which was the original intention of trying to cultivate, you know, I got stuck at that hurdle, and that was like the moment for me to say, you know what, let me just be the one to make these clones, because no one else out here is, you know, at least trying, or at least there's not enough competition, right? There's just, the ratio was really off to the amount of people growing flower compared to the amount of people growing clones to support those flower rooms. So that was a turning point for me.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean, because like honestly, it's to me like you know, coming from like the like not being I don't want to say ignorant, but I don't know as much about growing and cloning as everyone else here right today. But to me, it's like cloning is one of those things that it keeps like your genetics alive. So like as I learn more about weed and especially photo period stuff, it's like cloning is so key to everything, because if you mess up a clone, then you're messing up that pheno, that genetic. So that could be huge. So.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, when it comes down to preserving genetics, keeping genetics, you know, on the side, ready to get put into production, or when you're actually ready for production and you need to populate that room with that same genetic, cloning is your best friend.
100%. I mean, you need it to be a successful business, especially if you're in metric. You need those plants.
Yeah, photo period's all about it, right? Yeah, I mean, let me ask you something. We did have a question from actually last time we did a live interview, we were talking about autoflowering. Right, so obviously you know about autoflowering. Mm-hmm. Is there cloning in autoflowering?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so, but like we had a question. That was one of our first questions. So thanks Luxuriously Dope for reaching out to us. Yep. That was our first question. So we wanted to talk autos and cloning. Yeah, is it a thing? So.
No, I mean, I've been asked if you could clone from an autoflower plant, which in theory you should be able to. I mean, if you take a cutting off of whatever the plant material is, whatever that's genetically prone to switch, you know, with the photo period, right? You should be able to root that material, because the rooting process is, you know, has other variables like the humidity, the warmth, the external factors like rooting hormone, things like that will trigger rooting. So in theory, I think you can, but is it the best thing to do? No. If you're running autoflowers, just pop the seed, run the autoflower, and the crop is done. If you want to have a mother plant to where you're making clones, I would say start with a regular seed, even though some people say the feminized seeds would have no issue either. But that's really up to you. Depends on the genetic you want to keep around.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, like that's the thing. That's what I always thought with autos. You can't keep them. Right. Like that's the whole point of photo period is so you can clone. Right. But you know, luxuriously, he's big into Lux is big into autos out here, and he was like, I had to ask, so thank you. That's why we break it down a little bit. Kind of makes sense.
For sure. And some of these questions, I really love them, man, because it triggers other parts of the, you know, of ways of looking at things.
Well, I watched you thinking there. You were like, in theory, it should work. Like, you know, I almost want to experiment it now. I just want to see if you could do it. Like, you'd be changing the world if you could start saving autoflowers.
You'll do it, but like how it probably will just
is it really viable?
Is it going to get probably like this tall? Because by the time it roots and it's still on probably... There's still 90 days it's going to flower in, right? So I'm assuming it's going to take a lot longer to get that giant bud. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that tall of a plant. I think it'll probably be like this big or something, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whether it's viable or not, whether it be a fun experiment, probably, you know, be a fun experiment to find out.
Yeah, and that's my thing. Oh, actually, he just hit the comment too. He said, yeah, he Luxuriously Dope also asked, he just hit us now, live. What's up, Lux? What's up, fam? What you smoking on?
Nice.
He said, interested to hear the clone coach talk about tissue culture. So what's your thoughts on tissue culture? Yeah. The clone coach. In the comments. Appreciate you, Lux.
Yeah, Lux. Let's chat it up. Let's talk tissue culture. So tissue culture previously was like this lab type of procedure that was kind of isolated, right? but and within that, lab, the main things are genetic preservation and genetic cleanup. So you're either going to be storing genetics in small tissue via tissue culture, so you could store them for an extended period of time, or you're invigorating the genetic, with the cleanup from any viruses or viroids. It's really the main purposes of tissue culture. Nowadays, tissue cultures labs are in the same building as nurseries, which is the perfect spot for them. They go hand in hand. So nowadays, it's a lot more prevalent for tissue culture labs to just be part of the nursery operation for those same services, internal cleanup on their own genetics that they're offering, or genetic storage as a service for the clients. But it's a vital role, and it's becoming a lot more mainstream nowadays, and a lot more accessible to people to take it on as a new skill to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that Athena tissue box? Like, because that's pretty much like any home grower now can keep their genetics. Even small licenses or even bigger licenses can use it. Like, that's a pretty cool thing that they just came out with, that they launched at BizCon.
100%. It feeds on what I touched on, which is, it's becoming more mainstream, and it's becoming a lot easier to take it on and learn it as a skill. So now with that Athena, tissue culture kit, you have this box, you have an autoclave, you have the whole setup, instructions, everything, and now you could start to learn this skill set. And once again, you could have it as your own personal skill set, or you could expand that to maybe expand your role within the company that you're working at. Use it to go after that other position that's within the company, start your own little service or business. It helps teach the community, and it's becoming a lot more accessible with products like that.
Well, you brought the price down. You made it accessible. Like, the Athena made it accessible for the regular user, because what I used to think was tissue culture was super expensive. Like, was it not? Like, and now it's what, $2,500 or whatever, right?
It was.
I don't even think it was an idea, really. Right? Like,
Fair enough.
You're like, I got to keep mothers of my plants so I don't lose the genetics. Like, there was an idea where you could do the tissue culture for off your plants. So, like, I think you can now keep your genetics forever, which is like kind of pretty cool, right? Because like we've lost so many genetics probably throughout the years. Maybe not lost, but you don't see them as often, like some skunks or some sour diesels.
No, we lost them. We lost them, Dave. We lost them. Yeah.
Don't tell them. Come on, clone coach, you hurt me.
Damn.
But like, if we were able to have that, we would be able to keep those genetics, and then we could bring them back, and like that would be awesome. But it's like, I'm glad to see we're going in this direction. I think you said it, breaking down doors. It is. So it's like people are able to keep their genetics, stock genetics, like key, right?
Well, I mean, if you get that one cut that sets you apart, like, you want to keep it forever. And like, that's the thing. So this is one thing I'm also curious about cloning, Clone Coach. We were talking about it last week, how when you're cloning, you're just growing out that plant, right? It's just a never ending branch, right? It just keeps growing. Is there a point where cloning becomes, I don't want to say dangerous, but like your genetics might not be as healthy as they once were? Like, once it's X amount of generations deep?
It's a very good question. That's, people usually refer to that as genetic drift, is usually the term that they use to kind of summarize that up. Okay. Genetic drift. I have kind of a unique perspective on it. I think, not that there's no such thing as genetic drift, but I think what people were confusing genetic drift as were all of the accumulated variables, the external variables that plant has to undergo if you're keeping it alive for an extended period of time. 6 months alive, 9 months alive, recloning, all of those variables that plant has to interact with over and over and over again, I think are the bigger factors in causing any sort of drift or decreasing, ability out of this genetic. Because in theory, if that plant was healthy and happy throughout its entire life cycle, then everything it produced should be, that clone there. But, I think there's a lot more to that genetic drift that, just the life of the plant, keeping it free from pests and disease, all the external factors, the waterings, the AC going out, the this, the that, all these things that could cause this plant's health to go down, and consequently the clones to degrade quality-wise from there.
Okay, so there's many other factors. That is a factor, but it seems like there's many other factors that aren't that. That makes sense.
That's that bangerang.
Yeah. Oh, is this Canada? What are you smoking on, by the way, Clone Coach? We even asked you.
Thank you, sir.
What are you smoking on, man?
You know, I'm at the bottom of my latest batch here. I had like 3 or 4 strains from a local guy, and he does it right. These are things that aren't on the market. This is not stuff that's commercially done, commercially grown. So, you know, just I forget the strain, so I forget the strain, but it's some really sweet stuff.
Oh, it's hidden. It's sweet tasting, huh?
Yeah.
I like that. I'm about that.
What about you guys? What are you puffing on there?
This is Canada Dave's Bangerang. It's got like real lemony type of flavors. Like, you ever had lemon tree? Ever heard of lemon tree?
I think so. I definitely had some lemon, yeah.
It's very lemony. It's like lemon tree genetics, but it tastes the same as like lemon tree. It's like,
it's super lemony. I want to wash it.
Hey,
that would be.
It's about that flavor, right?
Oh, I love it, man. I really enjoy this flavor.
It's got like it's very flavorful. It's not so gassy, but it's like citrus is all.
It's like overwhelmingly citrus. Like it's like that's the only way I can say it. Pine sol, baby.
Key lime pie like type shit.
I like that. Key lime pie.
For me, that's that daytime get some work done type of smoke. For me, I love it. You know,
100%.
It has its place for sure.
100%.
That's like my favorite.
Or record a podcast with the boys. You know, it's one of those kind of strains.
Hey, shout out everyone in the comments. T-Dub, Mop Man, Luxuriously Dope, 420. Oh, y'all, we appreciate you commenting. Let me ask you something, Pete, to kind of ask Clone Coach indirectly. When you read his book, like, was there anything that stuck out specifically that you were like, oh, that's tight? Like, or that you were like, you took that, you know, and you took it to you, applied it to your own, bro. 'Cause you've been growing forever, man.
Yeah, like
true.
Basically just the sterile procedures, like the xeritol, and another thing was the TerraGrow.
What's TerraGrow? Can we break that down for everyone listening if they don't know?
You want to take that?
Yeah.
It's a microbial inoculant.
What does that do?
So it basically makes your root zone come alive. People either run sterile and don't have any microbial activity. I love microbial activity, being beneficial bacteria and fungi that just are really active and alive in your root zone. That's how you introduce that with that microbial inoculant.
So kind of like catalyst to some degree.
That makes sense.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So good.
We actually got a comment. Dope has one. What's the longest, Clone Coach? What's the longest you ever heard of a genetic pheno being kept alive through cloning?
Ooh, that I've heard? I don't know. It's got to be maybe a few years. Maybe can't recall a specific situation. But personally, I've kept a mother plant in production for about a year. You know, personally, when I was in my early years. So that's me. But beyond that, yeah, that was years ago. Nowadays, people don't do that because they don't need to. They could just use tissue culture to keep that genetic alive in a little container on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah, I need to start doing that.
Yeah, I mean, with all the seeds I've been saving up too. Yeah, me too. I feel that. Get a box, tissue culture box.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Find them.
Well, I mean, in tissue culture, tissue culture
I feel you.
is yeah, exactly. What we're smoking, you know, we just smoked 2 joints. So, you know, let us know what you're smoking on. Dab it on the comments, please. Always let us know what you're smoking on. We love sharing that. We love hearing new strains.
So tasty.
Shit, I kind of lost where I was going with that.
I got a question though for you, Clone Coach.
What's up?
Personal. What is your favorite way to clone? Like the humidor box, like the I'm blanking on it. The bot, you know what I'm talking about? The box, or like where you have the clones in the root cube, and then the roots are dangling with the sprayers. Do you like that method? Like, what's your favorite method? Huh?
You talking about aero cloning?
Yeah, aero cloning. Thank you. I can't think of the methods right now. I've done all these different methods. I can't think of it. But what's your favorite method for like personally, not for like big business? Like, what's your favorite method to do?
You know, personally,
and why?
I'm a tray and a dome kind of guy. You know, with some like cocoa peat based type of medium, like not a rock wool or not a foam or anything like that. Just some like cocoa peat based type of medium that breaks down. It's biodegradable type of thing. And a solid tray and a clear 7-inch plastic dome. For me, it can make stuff happen in that dome most anywhere. That's
what I'm currently using as a dome and tray.
Root rides.
Yeah.
I've been crushing it with those.
Mm-hmm. That. And it's working pretty good. Pretty good.
The dome works for you?
Yeah. I did the aero cloner for a little bit, and then I went back to the dome. So, got you. But yeah. Yeah. That's pretty good, though.
Yeah.
I would agree. Is that what you do, Cannabis?
Yeah, so I use domes. I use the Floraflex incubator kits. And I bought the Athena VP dome. Tried that out. I didn't put it in a controlled environment. Just wanted to see what would happen if I kind of put it in a room with clone lights, some R&D, and I ended up having to use domes inside of that thing, but it worked out fine that way. So now I'm going to take it and move it into a controlled environment like my bedroom and give it another go, see how that works. But it'd be cool if I could eliminate all the domes and lifting and cleaning and spraying, and you know how it goes, clone coach.
Yep. I mean, that's the reality of using domes for sure. Were you filling up your rack within that VPD dome? Were you filling up the rack like a full set of clones?
Yeah, I had I think 12 flats in there. So
what was the room at humidity wise?
Well,
when you had to add the dome?
It was dead winter, so it was cold, dry, and
Michigan winters ain't no joke.
At first, I just kind of was misting the cover on it, the door, and the surrounding areas, and it worked, but it's kind of high maintenance for what it's supposed to do.
Right.
So I ended up just putting,
like you said.
Yeah, it wasn't controlled environment, and I put a humidifier in there, tried to dial it in, little space heater in the room, and it was working, but with the humidifier, it was just getting way too wet. But like I said, man, I went
too cold and too wet.
Yes, sir.
Is not a good
right. So I ended up just throwing domes back on them, cut the humidifier, and got the heat up a little bit, and things really took off from there. But I'm looking forward to using it in a proper environment for sure. Things have just been a little hectic.
Oh yeah, and that's why in the SOPs, if you notice, when you're going through the steps for the parameters and where you want to be with the dome protocol and your temperature and humidity, I have in smaller font the internal dome and temperature that you should be going for in the different stages of rooting. So if you could just kind of treat your dome and have that in mind, as well as you're using the dome as one, that tent is one, be a good little thing to bounce off the parameters, kind of see where you're at, see your starting point and your finishing point where you kind of want to be.
Awesome.
Dude, I love your knowledge, man, with cloning. Very knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. I think we got let's see if we got a couple of comments. I know you want at least a couple nodes before you snip, but I didn't know if there was such a thing as too big. Is it too big of a cutting a clone? Probably not. I think is that what you mean, Dope? I might have misspoke on that. I'm not too sure. That was a little bit, couple comments ago. Sorry about that. 420 growers, your cut should fit under the dome for humidity, or the clone will flop pretty much. Yep.
I've seen some people take some pretty gnarly cuts, like literal 3-foot branches. They take a minute to root, but I've seen it done.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
The guy just put them in a trash can, a little bit of water on the bottom.
No way.
Dude, I don't know. I'll drop his tag, man. It was like Mr. 420 Blaze or Mr. D 420 Blaze or something.
No shit.
But yeah, I mean, they weren't the prettiest things, but they rooted, for sure.
This is an amazing plant. This plant will root. It's a giant stem. If it has a certain amount of those parameters, it'll do it. It'll root, and it'll do it. Or on the opposite end, if it's a tiny little offshoot, I've rooted tiny little offshoots that I would normally trim off of my clones. I've rooted those little side, offshoots, and they root. So, from big to small, man, we get most anything to root off this plant.
Yeah, think of tissue culture, right?
Oh, facts.
any form. It'll want to make roots. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to want to make roots.
We got another question. This is actually kind of funny. It said, what does it say? The question is, can I take a 3-foot snip and root it? That's what someone asked. I just think that's hilarious. What was it?
Yeah.
In theory, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Just that was the question. I just had to ask it, straight to the point.
The 420 growers even said it's gonna be lanky. Yeah, and it's gonna take forever. So
yeah,
I wouldn't advise doing that.
It's just more meat, more meat to root.
You know, dude, I'm like envisioning like a giant version of the clear plastic dome and like a fucking 3-foot tall fucking stem and like a big like giant version of a tray in a dome and like giant clones, like 3-foot tall clones, fucking rooting in like 4-inch blocks or some shit.
Hey man, R&D.
Should try it.
Research and development. There you go, man. Let's see if he'll figure it out. I love these questions. These
if
are
not,
great.
just comedy. That'd be a hilarious fucking picture, man.
Dave Cobb says, "Are you ever heard of guys cloning on the mother plant?"
Yes, I have.
Someone just asked. Dave Cobb just asked that on Facebook.
Like you can wrap some sort of media around a stalk and it will root on the plant, and then you can cut it off. So yeah.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, it's technique used on like other plants too. You know, and that's it. That or like kind of a grafting, or like you make a little snip and you wrap it, put the soil around it, and it'll grow roots into it. And if you break it off from there, now you got roots.
Actually, I've seen that done on regular trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite often.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, we got another one. Is Clone Coach familiar with anyone trying to splice cannabis? Splice cannabis?
Like grafting?
I've heard attempts with hemp figured a similar procedure to cutting clones. Splicing cannabis. That's the question.
Maybe hemp and
No?
THC.
Looks like a no.
I haven't heard the term enough to know what it means or what they think it means.
Yeah, no, I was curious what that meant. Like, I don't know what that means, splicing. Are you like genetically?
Yes. He goes, yes, like grafting, but with different genetics.
You good on that, Jay?
Oh,
I think.
So probably get like.
I mean, no like direct exposure to it for sure, but I think I've heard of it happening,
That's kind of. I wonder how that would go. Like snapping off like an OG Kush and just shoving it like on a sour diesel. Or
I
something.
think an old High Times picture, I saw like different colored colas on the same tree. I'm like, I think.
well, like, how would that would that become like a? Would that become a cross? Like,
I don't think so.
no,
think
I never heard of such a thing. This is getting so much science in this bitch. Like, geez.
I don't know, man. I think you'd probably just
That plant science, baby.
Yeah, you'd be.
But if you do it with trees, wouldn't it? Then it would count, right? Because it would.
I don't know. I've heard of people taking like flour, like breaking down flour together and just putting them in the same thing, pressing them, and being like, it's this crossed with this. Now it's an extract, and they call it that. Like, I don't know. I think it's fascinating. Some people just rename things like that.
Yeah, just stick with clones, though. I think you'll get some good results.
Have you ever got any people saying that like it's better from seed than clone?
Depends what's important to you to what you're saying. Better is better. You know what I mean? Like,
now. Splicing.
What do you say?
So it's got me thinking like crazy now.
The splicing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But no, because I've always heard some people say like, oh, I'm scared to take a clone because it's from someone else's garden into my garden, where some people just trust seeds. I guess that's what I mean. Like that cross contamination.
Yeah,
from clones.
Better in the sense of like what's a cleaner start. Yeah, that's gonna be starting from seed. But because the external variables when you take in a cutting from another environment. Who knows what's going on with that plant and that environment and that genetic. So in that sense, yeah, cleaner and stronger is seed, but, faster and proven is clone.
So genetically, though, no difference, though, right? There's no, like, from seed versus clone. There's no, like, hey, from seed it's stronger genetically, right? I just have to ask that question.
There's extra vigor from seed.
Okay.
quicker growth.
So it's just a little bit stronger of a plant.
Yeah.
So maybe better for bending and stuff.
Well, because after so many times after you clone the same plant, it's probably gonna doesn't it diminish a little bit? Like it doesn't the plant age? Like
that's what we were talking about, the genetic
so wouldn't that
drift.
that'd be similar. But I mean, if you want to keep your genetics, you got to learn how to clone anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so even if you start from seed, you still got to learn how to clone properly and be able to keep those genetics. And if you don't have the proper techniques, then after a couple grows, you probably won't even be able to save your plant after a while, right? I mean, especially there's like, if you run into different diseases from cloning, I mean, yeah. Isn't there like, what's that one, cloning
HLV.
disease? Hop or what's it
Hops
called?
Latin viroid.
What was that?
Hops Latin viroid.
Isn't that's like that's pretty big right now, isn't that within clones?
I mean, it's a big problem.
100%. And it's why all of the extra tissue culture services are becoming more readily available, because it's one of the only ways to eradicate the issue. And if you want to keep that genetic that's infected, so it's definitely a problem. Yeah.
Oh, okay. How can you prevent that from getting that? Is it just by having a clean environment when you're cutting clones, or like how do you know if you have that virus for your plant?
Well, it's going to be two things. It's going to be testing and proper procedures. So testing your plants consistently to track it before it spreads anywhere, especially if you're propagating from those plants. Testing, frequent testing. And then procedures so that you are cleaning your scissors properly with the right, chemical, with the right time on that chemical, the contact time. You're not transferring any physical cuts from one plant to another. That's how you would physically transfer, the viroid to another. So procedurally, you got to be on it. Don't share anything. Don't spread anything, and test it and spot for anything that's like already in later stage that you could see like physical characteristics that are off.
Thank you.
I feel like someone mentioned that when we were talking about that disease at BizCon with someone. We were talking about that specifically. Anyways, that's just crazy.
It's pretty big in the industry right now, from my understanding. Like, not just like in Michigan, I'm talking about all over.
Well, I mean, I get it, being that you get that virus in your plants, and all your plants are gone now.
Just diminished yields, big time.
Well, that's huge though. If you're running if you're in the metric and you're running your license, like you need to make sure you have your yields and it's producing quality, and your plants are cutting. Your clones can root quick. Gotta keep those cycles going, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see if we got any
100%.
other questions we got out there.
Yeah. Very odd.
Is there a certain plant that you see root quicker than others, like based off of genetics, or is it more generally just based off of conditions? You can get all similar genetics to root relatively about the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, since I've always had multiple strains in nurseries that I've managed and whatnot, I've always treated everything the same, because I knew I was always going to have a different strain, a different variety rotating in and out throughout the menu. So I forced myself to kind of be able to find what works for everything. And if it really does, it's really out of range, then, it just doesn't make the cut, or you just know that going into it. But generally, I treat everything the same. It really comes down to plant health and, taking a nice, vigorous, healthy cutting that's underneath some light, that's thriving. If you have any kind of healthy plant material going in, you should be able to get healthy plant material coming out. If it's struggling in any way, when you bring it into the rooting process, it'll struggle throughout and may even get worse throughout, depending on your procedure. So if you start good, you should be able to end good, no matter what strain or variety.
Appreciate that. We got a comment. Do you recommend a specific dip for clones, like a sulfur dip?
Xeritol 2.0 dip or dunk of all the clones, the stem material prior to plugging them into the cubes. I wash all of the material into a Xeritol 2.0 dunk just to clean everything off of the cloning material, and you're starting with a clean start.
Let's try that.
Yeah.
You said you've used that?
I have.
Hell yeah. Dab time, y'all. I'm taking a dab.
What are you about to dab on?
Gelato, frozen gelato. You like dabs, Clone Coach?
You got me on that one, man. I'm not
a dabber?
Dabber, dabhead, whatever you guys. Yeah, no.
Dabber, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually think I might.
I don't know what you call it. Yeah.
Hey, now. No, I had to ask because, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I've ever talked to you about that, so I was curious.
But I'll take a little dab if it's some rosin and low temp, like flavorful dab. I'll take a dab.
I like that.
Hey, I'll taste something. As we'll get a little personal with the questions.
Yeah.
I can get you with some personal questions.
Like modern day hash, man. I would love some hash, some old school hash, but it's modern day hash.
Cheers, T-Dub. I saw T-Dub said
the
dab
best,
time.
man.
We
It's
tend to
the
take
best.
dabs on our live stream, so I was like, hey, dab time.
I love me some hash.
Cheers, everybody.
You doing anything for 420 this week?
Oh, yeah.
Big holiday for all cannabis owners. So happy everyone in the chat pre 420. So I gotta drop that while we're going live.
Yeah, while we're doing that, ask the questions for Clone Coach in the comments.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Yes.
Got any plans out there, man?
420 plans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten anything yet, man. I'm still booking it. I've still got to figure it out. But if I'm staying in town, I'll probably try to hit a lounge or something. We got a lot of lounges out here,
How are consumption lounges out there?
Hit and miss, but it's a place to smoke, So it ranges from, a random room to, a decked out,
A random room.
designed and decorated lounge area. So it
See,
varies,
we only
but there's
have
a lot of them
we only have a couple, and they just started allowing public access to them. So like, really, it's not a regular thing out here. We had to drive all the way to Chicago's suburbs just to go to one that was kind of more legit, and that's like 5 hours from here.
Yeah.
Oh damn!
How much is it to get into those? I suppose. I mean, consumption lounges. Sorry.
Really? That's cool. That's how it was in the Chicago one. The one out here was private for the first 6 months, and then now they only let you come in Monday or Tuesdays for like $25 or $30.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm sure there's some places out there that'll charge you a cover charge, but most places are just a dispensary attached to the lounge. So you buy something and you consume it there.
That makes sense.
Oh yeah. You guys got any questions about cloning? Anything you guys been doing when you guys clone?
I got more of like a basic question. I think. Oh no, go. What about to say, Clone Coach?
I was gonna say, Pete. So tell me a bit more about like sorry for the dogs.
No,
you
dude. I'm actually my dog would be barking right now if he heard him.
Yeah.
You'd be barking because of my dog's barking.
Exactly.
What was the transformation? What were clones like for you before, versus what they're like now, and how they're going to be moving forward for you?
I mean, the main thing was just the time it would take to bust roots. It probably like 3 days off. I get roots in like 9 to 11 days now. Sometimes some strains quicker, but as before, I was using Rockwool and kind of doing my own little SOPs, and it was working, but it was taking at least 14, 16 days to get roots. So it was just kind of slowing production down when, I didn't really want to pump the brakes on anything like that. So
yeah, that's
main thing was just time.
That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going from 14, 16 down to 9, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You multiply that out, across the 800 clones or however many clones you have in that full rack there, and that adds up time. It gives you more cushion moving forward for the rest of its cycle.
Oh, absolutely. You got a better selection, better stock to choose from. When draft day comes, you don't want to use the bullshit. So.
Do you get like that ache when you're throwing away so many good options because there's just so many good options?
Yeah, man. Like when I gotta toss them, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, but we're starting with the best start that we can, and that just works its way through the whole cycle,
Yeah.
man.
No,
That's
it
awesome.
definitely pays
Save
off for
time,
sure.
save a lot of time.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. It was just simple things, man. Like before, cobweb mold and shit like that was kind of an issue where with the Xeritol spray and everything, kind of eliminates that. Plants just stay healthier and you don't get so much like damping off. And just at the end, you have way more selection. So it works out.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. That's awesome to hear. Love to have you on the team.
Appreciate it.
How do you even get the guide for anyone listening if they're interested? How would you even get that, Clone Coach?
CloneCoach.com.
Yep. I pulled it up earlier, but yeah, clonecoach.com.
Perfect.
CloneCoach.com. Yeah, man. There's automatic discounts that are applied right now,
Right
and
there. Boom.
you can use extra discounts. $15K will get you another $15 off as well.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah, clonecoach.com. If you're on YouTube,
Dropping it.
you
Appreciate
can see
it
it right there.
I was gonna ask more of like a generic basic question, but what are like your couple key tips for anyone getting into cloning or for anyone that is cloning, like in the licensed market, to make sure that they can have fast rooting clones and healthy genetics or healthy clones going forward?
Yeah, handful of tips here. Your temperature is going to be or it's going to be your worst enemy. So most people out in the mid 70s and accept the 70s mean temperature. It's too cold. If you want to strike for 80, you're going to get much better results. So making sure you're a little bit warmer. And that right amount of humidity. We don't want anything real past 70-75% in the room. That's plenty. So that, and if you're using domes, let the domes breathe. Just let the domes. If you just do that, you're gonna reduce the amount of dampening off you're having, the reduced amount of pathogen or fuzz or web that's coming up with some fungus building up. You're gonna get just more rigid plants, better hardening off. Just let those domes breathe. Whether it's a VPD dome or individual domes or the room itself, fresh air exchange and letting that room breathe solves a lot of problems.
Thank you. Appreciate that. The dome, that's what I've been using. So how long do you usually let it breathe for? Hour, 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Let it
Like a burp. Like
burp.
Just
burp.
Seconds, minute, if anything,
Gotcha.
just a burp.
Cool.
Take it off, shake it off.
There you go.
Love it. Hey, cloning's essential, man. You need it to keep those plants and genetics.
Absolutely.
If you want to move forward with them, you like a specific pheno, and you want to keep that for life. You need that, or you gotta learn tissue culture, right? That seems like the other option.
Hell yeah.
So, we got any other questions out there for Clone Coach?
Yeah, I know. I'm looking out there. I don't see any. You got any, I don't know. I just get the SOPs. Go to clonecoach.com. God, I'm so glad I didn't say clown. I almost did.
Oh my god.
That's an inside
I
joke
thought you got
from
them
earlier.
all out before we started recording.
Yeah. I got one in just at the end.
Yeah, and our listeners can find. Where can our listeners find you? Any of your other your socials and your web. We got your website, but what other socials do you have, Clone Coach?
So Instagram is where I'm, really active, and there's a lot of good short form, tips and tricks and experiences and coaching kind of lessons built in there at Clone Coach, and on YouTube as well. Just Clone Coach on YouTube. Luckily enough, Clone Coach wasn't taken anywhere, so I snagged up, all the social and everything with
Nice.
Coach. So you search Clone Coach, you'll find me one way or another.
Yeah, literally just smash the Google. You'll hit clonecoach.com. So that's what I did.
That's perfect. Check out his guide.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, no, I thank you for coming on, man. I'm trying to think of any other questions. If you guys got anything else to ask, you got any other tips you'd like to give to any people out there?
The biggest tips, even if you're just starting off or your experience and you're active in production with your nursery stock, or you're just trying to make your first, batch or your first tray. The short form content and a little bit of longer form content on my YouTube, that's building up, but that Instagram is just packed with so many good tidbits. I think Pete could attest to that as well. There's just so much good tangible value that's in these short form clips. So if you just go there, I guarantee you're going to get some sort of tangible result that you're going to see a difference in your garden.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm all about it.
And honestly, time and time again, if we run into people that speak very highly of you, in public, people we know, people in the scene out here in Michigan, so people know of you. You're out here doing the damn thing.
Yeah, keep crushing it, man. Keep putting that education out there. I love it.
I guess one thing I didn't ask, do you offer like one-on-ones and stuff? Like if people reach out, do you offer one-on-ones and stuff? I don't know if we actually covered that. I know we talked about your content, but I don't know if we actually talked about like one-on-one coaching.
I did used to do more one-on-one coaching earlier on, but I just have that built into the SOP. So if you buy the SOP, it comes with a coaching call, just in case there's any questions that come up, or your situation's a little unique, or you're in a different part of the country at a different season where it's affecting you more, or you want to find a strategy to help deal with a cold winter basement or something. There's a coaching call that's included into the SOP. It's really the best way to make sure you get all your questions answered.
And Dave, an SOP is a standard operating procedure. Someone just asked that in the comments. I'm not just saying it. Not that I realized your name's Dave, so I was like, Dave, by the way. Like, no, not Canada Dave. Dave in the comments. Should have said that first. Dave, by the way.
I was like, I didn't even say anything.
Yeah. No, and honestly, those are great. I mean, like, especially for something like growing, because it's something you can go right back to. It's like a Bible, for growing. Cloning.
It's good stuff.
Highly recommend it. See right here, we got a purchaser. Not paid for advertisement.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Paid for actor.
Just a team member. Getting results.
Team member.
Just implementing some tricks, man. Some tips. It is a game changer.
That's awesome.
Hey, love it, man. Hey, I appreciate you taking time out of your day, Clone Coach, and joining the stream and teaching us all about clones, answering questions for everyone in the chat. Talked about a lot of stuff today. Do you got anything else you'd like to mention before we dip out, Clone Coach?
Any shout outs?
Please just check out the YouTube and Instagram. Honestly, that's where I'm putting a lot of effort into and creating content. I'm going to be doing some tours, some interviews as well. So just check out those two spots and clonecoach.com, of course, and that's all the support I could ask for.
Oh yeah, that's what's up.
Hey, that's awesome. I definitely learned every time I'm talking to you, man. I'm learning about good new techniques and ways to make sure that I get the best clones coming out of rooting my plants. So I always appreciate you joining our streams, man, and catching up with you. Hopefully we can actually link up again in person. It was fun out in Vegas last year, so that was a good time.
Yeah, you think about going out again this year?
Almost definitely, man. That's a tradition now, for sure.
That's kind of what we said. Year one, we're like, that was pretty fun. Year two, like, that was pretty fun. Like that Athena after party was wild. Like the whole everything was great.
Yeah, that was a good time. That was a fun time.
And it'll be here before we know it, man. It'll be here before we know it. So let's get ready for it.
No, I'm ready.
That is true. That is true. We'll be ready. I want to enjoy a little bit of summer though here. We were just getting out the cold here in Michigan. It sucks.
Yeah. We escaped it, and now we're right back in it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
it's like
well, that's the nice
thing
about MJ BizCon's right when it gets cold here. So we just dip out for like a week, and it's like,
yeah, and it's so warm out there still. Beautiful. Like the 60s, like beautiful. But, yeah.
Oh,
I'm in Southern California, fellas, in the desert, man.
I know. I was going to say, what is the cold? I mean, wow. I almost wore long johns.
I couldn't do the cold, man. I've always lived in warm places, and it's in my blood now. I'm at a different temperature and stuff. Like it's done.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Like if it wasn't for family and living here, I don't know. I hear you.
Yeah, that's same. Because I don't like the cold. The summers are very nice here. Spring's all right, but I'd rather be in the warm climate consistently. So Trust me.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you joining.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Tomorrow we got an episode dropping with Josh from Fifth Age at 4:20 Eastern. We'll be going live 9 a.m. This Saturday for a Wake and Bake sesh. And other than that, I got nothing else. Yeah. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Paul. Dude. Appreciate you, Clone Coach.
Thank you, Clone Coach. We'll be linking up soon.
Dave.
Hey, brother. All right.
Hey. And as always, we're here to advocate,
educate,
and inspire. Till next time, y'all. Peace.